Hi everyone, we are the Waygook Noonas. My name is Rebecca.
And I'm Alyssa.
And we lived in South Korea during second generation of K-pop, commonly known as the golden age of K-pop by people like us who lived it. And now that it's like 10, 15 years later, we thought it would be fun to go back and talk about it because so much has changed. And this week, we are just jumping into the thing that brought a whole new generation of people into K-pop, not BTS, generation younger. We're talking K-pop demon hunters. But first, we've got quite a few episodes planned for K-pop demon hunters. 2 officially, and chances are we're going to talk longer about it because
probably
we have a lot of feelings. I have a lot of feelings. Alyssa's probably got a lot of feelings.
Yep.
But first, we're going to quickly chat about some current news from some of our favorite second generation artists. So today is Amber. Amber from FX. She has released a new single. Alyssa, have you listened to A Little Messed Up yet?
I did. It was interesting. The video kind of messed with me a little bit, but it was super simple.
Yeah, it's like one of those visualizer, like lyric type videos.
Yeah. Once I figured out what was going on, I was just like, oh, okay, this I can deal with this. But the song itself, the message was really cool, and I forgot I've listened to her stuff, but I don't obviously listen to it enough. I forgot how beautiful her voice is.
I know, right? That's how I felt when I was listening to it. I was listening, I was like, she has such a beautiful singing voice. And I just go through like a full spectrum of feelings when I listen to her sing, because first it's like, I love her voice so much. And then second, I love her lyrics so much. Her songs are always just so impactful. And then usually third is me going, why was she just the rapper in FX?
Right?
Like, it's
That's
just
like always
so
my
annoying.
thought too.
Because like, I always think every time I hear her sing, I'm thinking to myself of like Hot Summer and everything where she was just the rapper. And I'm like, this is insane that she has such a beautiful voice and almost never got to sing properly in Korea. And I don't know when was the last time she's released something before this. I think it's been a few years.
It's been a while. I know there was something around COVID. Oh, her and James Lee from Royal Pirates. They released, I think it was a song called All Right.
Yeah.
And so she had something else out around that time, but again, either I've been out of the loop or she just hasn't released anything in a while.
So I've got just a list of what she had released just coming up on YouTube here. So this is the most recent one, 5 days as of time of recording. Then the one before that was Dusk Till Dawn, which was 2 years ago. Okay. And then before that would have been Other People, which was 6 years ago. So we're talking like pandemic.
COVID.
Beginning
of right in the middle.
And then Countdown. I Just Wanna, which I love. That's the one she has with Eric Nam. And
that was fun.
Then like it's 10 years with all the stuff previously. My favorite is still, I'm sure she doesn't appreciate that this is my favorite. I still love Shake That Brass. It's just
oh my God,
so stupidly
that
like
was
fun.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's just, every time I see her like release something, I just am so happy. There's like this little group of American-born, mostly Koreans, but in her case, American-born Chinese performers who came to South Korea, got this huge amount of fame, and then it just kind of, they went and did their own thing. And I don't even want to say puttered out. Like, they kind of just, I don't want to pretend to know what made any of them make the choices that they did, but most of them, returned home to the United States in some way. As someone who spent 3.5 years in Korea and then 1.5 years Japan, and so I spent 5 years in Asia. I can understand the want to go home, even
Yeah.
after you've had like such an amazing time. And then it makes me so happy to see them etch out a form of success that works for them in like with their current fans, and then they slowly grow it. So, we've got, for example, Amber building like this, like building a music playlist that is in FX and is in English and is 100% her, and she's singing and stuff. And last week we talked about Eric Nam and him being the voice of Aang in Avatar. And then another perfect example, which loops into today's episode, is Kevin Wu going from UKISS and then his solo career that it was quiet and like, and then he's just worked so hard and became Mystery Saja. And now it's just like no one even knows the other stuff he's done. I'm just like, come on. But every time I see these K-pop artists get a form of success back home, I'm just like, yes. If you're listening to this and you have not listened to A Little Bit Messed Up by Amber Liu, make sure you go and check it out, because her voice is beautiful. She's stunning. And I could go into like just a list of all the reasons why I admire her. Her voice is beautiful. She is not what you were used to seeing in Korean music. She was such a incredible trendsetter in so many ways, and I adore her so much for it. And I just want all of the love in the world to go to her. So go and stream her music. Go and like just give her all of your love and support. And now we're going to pivot. Yeah, do it now. Talking about from one incredible second generation K-pop star to another, we're going to go into K-pop Demon Hunters. And as two people who were in South Korea long before people actually cared about South Korea, we had a lot of feelings about this movie when it came out a year ago. And before I start rambling on, Alyssa, describe, I guess, what it was like end of June 2025. Do you remember how you heard about the movie?
I heard about it because Kevin had posted about it, the voice of Mystery Saja. I saw his Instagram, saw the post, and I was just like, oh, he's going to be in a movie. I'm going to watch it and see how it goes. And then I saw the trailer and I went, oh, this is right up my alley, because I'm very much about fantasy and like kicking girls who can kick butt, and like I like Lord of the Rings and anime, and I was just like, this is like all, and I love Korea and K-pop, and I'm like, this is like all my favorite things smashed into one movie. I'm like, this is perfect and nothing hurts, and I hadn't even watched the movie yet.
So how long after it came out before you watched it?
I think I watched it the day it released.
Wow.
Maybe. I don't remember exactly, but pretty close to the release date. I think I made, I'm pretty sure I watched it the day it released, because I had Netflix at the time, so I was like, there's no way I'm missing this. So yeah, I just full on went all out and just spazzed.
I did not have a Netflix, so I was aware that Kevin had a movie, and I was very proud of him for having a movie. But I kind of let it, like, I just ignored it, I guess, because I was just like, I don't want to have to deal with figuring out how to get this on Netflix or whatever, because I don't want to pay that money. Netflix. I don't really pay for a lot of streaming services. So it took a few weeks. It took a few weeks for me to finally be like, okay, everyone seems to be going nuts about this movie. Like, it was when people, like, their kids were starting to talk about this movie, I was like, oh, maybe I should, like, watch this. So I think I was, like, a solid month later. Like, I probably didn't watch until the beginning of August. So, a solid 4 to 6 weeks later, And I remember watching it and just, I think my jaw was just on the floor the whole time. And then I went back and watched it again the next day, because there were so many parts that where I was like, I kept the things I was laughing at were the parts where I was like, I don't know if everyone's going to catch just how incredibly
Right?
accurate this is.
Yes.
And so
Uh-huh.
I had to watch it, I think 3 or 4 times, because I was so busy laughing at other parts of the movie that I was missing like major parts of the plot because I was just like, this is so ridiculous. Um, and
Yeah, I think what really got me, especially with the trailer, was how accurate it was. I remember in the trailer the part where Genu does his body roll and the Ajuma and like full on knocks the
the
Ajuma
Ajima fan,
back.
honestly, like let's kind of just dig into the
Like,
few things.
mwah,
Like,
spot on.
I think that's the one thing where most K-pop fans, even if you haven't been to Korea, um, they were probably watching the movie and went, "Wow, they nailed the fans to a
Mhm.
T."
Yes.
So I think like that opening scene where they're interviewing the fans as like before the
The final
concert,
concert.
I just realized what are Hunter X's what's their fan club called? Like I know that the Saja Boys, their fans are the Pride,
The Pride,
but I
yeah.
don't know if we ever got a name for what the Hunter X fans are.
I don't know if we did. I'm sure they've got it.
I'm
Doing
sure they
research.
have one, but Alyssa's gonna go in to look up that while I talk for a second, I guess. But my favorite thing is, going into this concert, and I don't recall if they show the actual arena, but just the clips outside, it reminded me so much of going into like Seoul Olympic Stadium,
Hmm.
very
Hmm.
specifically
Yes.
Seoul Olympic
Yes.
Stadium. Um, and just the different groups of fans that you see, like the young girls, and when they break down the different types of fans for Rumi, Zoe, and Ira. Okay, do you have a name?
The fan club name is just Hunters. The official fan, again, this is just the AI overview, so take it with a grain of salt. The official fandom name for the fictional K-pop group Huntrix from K-pop Demon Hunters is Hunters.
I
Oh,
mean,
this name was confirmed by the film's co-director Maggie Kong as a nod to the members' dual lives as K-pop idols and Demon Hunters.
I get it, but the Pride is just such a better name.
Well, Saja means lion
I
in
know, but
Korean.
that's the thing is like when your fan club name literally comes from like the majority of your name. I don't know. It's not my favorite.
No.
But I guess.
But like Shawwell is shiny world, so I mean it's just kind of like
Yeah, but Shawwell just sounds stupid though. And I say that as someone who
everyone wore
put.
kiss me's for crying out loud.
I
That's
know,
like
I know. I'm okay. Kiss me's is a word at least.
so it's
Shawwell is
Hunters.
not a word.
Shawwell's not a word.
And
No.
we could do a list of like my favorite and least favorite K-pop fandom names, and Shawwell would literally be up there at the top. Like I'm pretty sure, and I say that as someone who put my like number 2. If I
Last
weren't a
episode,
Kiss Me,
yeah.
I'd be a Shawwell, and I'm just like, listen, it would be begrudgingly. But anyways, going back to as we meet the Hunters, the different types of fans, I love like the different fans that they have. So when you meet Rumi's fans and Zoe's fans and Mira's fans, and they're all so unique. And the best part is like you see those types of fans, and
you do.
I love like the Zoe fans are pretty like run of the mill, and the Rumi fans are pretty run of the mill. But when you meet Mira's
fans are
fans,
fantastic.
my favorite part about that was the fact that I could think of maybe like at least 10 students that I had in my years teaching middle school where I was like, I know this girl because I taught her like a million times over, being like, we love her. She's the best. I'm like, oh my God, like I know this girl a million times over. Like this is 100% a type of fan that you see regularly. And then we see my favorite part of the fans are the different types of fan bros. And
those were fantastic. That did me in. I was laughing so hard.
I think the reason why I laughed so hard though with them is because I have never seen a male K-pop fan portrayed so perfectly in my life. Like,
yeah.
And like the different types, because there are like you have the ones who are super, the ones who just weep over everything are just like, we love these girls. And then you also have the ones who are just like, I got a tattoo, yeah, I love my girl. Like the different character types for the like fan bros was that was the first part where I lost it. I had to pause the movie because I was like laughing so hard. Just the fact that they just would like the t-shirt and they'd rip off, like there'd be another one underneath. And I was like, this is so, I mean, I didn't see any fans ripping off their shirt, but I definitely saw a lot of fan bros wearing their like fandom on their shirts. Like the guys don't do the light sticks. They don't do the paraphernalia like we did as the female fans, but they wore t-shirts. They had their ways of doing it. And oh my God, that was an absolute joy. Just know when you're watching a K-pop Demon Hunter, that was one of the first things where I think when we both were watching it, that was the part for me at least where I went, oh, they know what they're doing. Like they know.
Well, I think almost the entire cast and a good part of the crew are Koreans or like Korean Americans. So it's like they do know. I'm just really excited that the Netflix let them put so much accuracy into it and didn't have to like Americanize it.
Do you know the story of how this movie got made? So the movie was not made by Netflix. The movie was made by Sony.
That's right.
And Sony were about 10 seconds away from making it a write-off, like a tax write-off, and shelving it and not putting it to air. So they sold it to Netflix for pennies.
That's right, I did hear that.
Because it was completely finished, and they were just like, we don't think we're going to get a good return on this. So we're just going to shelve it for tax purposes. Sold it to Netflix for pennies on the dollar. Well, the thing is that they do still technically own part of like the IP and stuff. So that will be the interesting part. Will be like how it. Like, so Sony gave them a lot of that leeway that Netflix may not have, but then because they just bought this property, they're like, well, it's done. We might as well put it out. And it turned out, surprise, surprise, people like to see themselves represented both as, Asian Americans and strong, empowered women, and like so many groups felt seen in this movie. So, so fans. First off, getting the fan guys, fan bros right was where I was like, oh my God, they are onto something. And then we get the scene with the food where they're on their plane. Do we know why they have a plane? I don't care.
I don't
care.
That was the only thing where I was just kind of like, I don't know many K-pop stars that have a private plane.
At the same time, I don't know many K-pop stars who are demon hunters.
That's true.
They could just be doing a really good job. Yeah, so they're on the plane and they just have this spread of food, and it is all the most Korean food ever. They sit like, and that's the thing. I love the fact that they're calling it like ramyeon, not ramen, ramyeon, because I would say up until like 2 years ago, people were saying it's like they didn't know, hell, most
Japanese.
of them are like instant noodles, but now they know the difference between ramen, ramyun, like some of them. And then
Yeah.
the big thing for me, I think the ramyun is funny. It's the kimbap for me.
Yes.
When
The
they
king
unwrap the
mom.
kimbap and she just like in one shot, it's if it weren't animated and hilarious, it would be really, really gross. But it's animated and hilarious. And
Hmm.
the other, like, also like Zoe with the prawn
The
chips,
shrimp crackers.
the shrimp
Yeah.
crackers. I loved that one too because those are my favorite. I loved those. Yeah, so like seeing the spread of food was another part where I was like, oh, they know their stuff. They know what we're talking about. Like this is very, very Korean. It wasn't just like a pile of kimchi or whatever, like, or like Korean barbecue. It was
Yeah.
beyond
It was.
the basic knowledge.
Yep.
And I think the thing that won me over especially was the fact that the women, like the three hunters, they were unabashedly young women enjoying their food. Like,
Yes.
if
That was
you've ever watched a
fantastic.
mukbang before, you know that a Korean woman can pack down some food. And I loved seeing these three performers who were going to go and perform for like 2 hours straight. They needed their calories. And
Yeah.
they were just like, yeah, we're just going to stuff our face. I loved that. I think one of the
Yeah. And I
lines that
think
they
that's.
have is, yeah, I need like 10,000 calories to get through this choreo. 1,000%, a
Yeah.
gajillion%. Mira, that's not even a real number. It is for our
Oh,
fans. And so, like, that energy that they have in that scene, I felt like they were. That was another part where you're just like, oh, these are like really three-dimensional characters where you see like the
yeah.
stage version is not the person. And
Mhm.
I thought, I was like, okay, I love these girls. And
Yeah. I also really like the food scene because it. I mean, like, I think any entertainment industry, especially for women, is like you have to be a certain size in order to be marketable.
mm-hmm.
And there's just these highly successful women, especially Asian women, who are just, like you said, just enjoying their food. And I was just like, this is fantastic.
Yeah.
This is perfect.
Yeah, it was it's like it's healthy. It's really healthy to see
Yes.
them enjoy their food because especially now that we're back in the era of like anorexic chic of the early 90s, it's really nice to
Yeah.
see characters allowed to eat food. So up until this point I'm like, "Oh, this is going to be good. Like I'm enjoying they get it." And then How It's Done drops.
That's my favorite song of the whole movie. Like,
It
Golden
is
is
it's my
great.
favorite too.
I love Soda Pop, like, and Oh, and Your Idol. Okay, so my favorites aren't the main songs. It's How It's Done and Your Idol.
Yeah, those are my
Those
two
are my
favorites
two
too.
favorites.
But
Yeah.
How It's Done is it's such a perfect song to start the movie with because I love a musical where the music actually carries the story forward. That's the part that makes it a
Hmm.
musical versus a just a movie with music. And the
Yeah.
story really does go through with the song and it's incredible lyrics. Like I think I did have to pause and go, oh no, oh hell no, when they said that fit check for my napalm era. I literally was just like, oh, 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 that's good. Like goosebumps. It's such a good line. And to find out afterwards that that was a misheard lyric that they're like, so
Yeah.
she was just like, did you say napalm era? And they're like, no but I should or something like that. It's like I saw
Yes.
an interview
Yeah.
and it's just such an iconic line. I was looking at that line, I was like, this is just it's so strong and it's unapologetic. I think that's the part that I
Yeah.
loved was the song was just so I know that they're based
Strong.
more on like Blackpink and stuff, but since
Hmm.
I was going back to our memories and it was so 21 coded. Like they were
Yeah.
so like when they hit the
21, and I think a
raps, I
little
was
bit
like,
of
this is
Brown Eye Girls.
well, for me, like when they hit the rap, I was like, this is CL. Like this is just
Mm.
100% pure CL type lyrics, especially for how it's done. This, I was like, I would love to hear 21 cover this. Like
That would be
it would
cool.
have, oh my God, that would be fantastic. Like just, and I know that there are other songs, but how it's done reminded me of a combination of I Am the Best and Can't Nobody. So if you were
Oh,
to mix like
oh my God! It's funny that you said that because like literally as you're like sitting there thinking, I'm like, da, 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 and like that popped. But I couldn't think of the song, and then you
Can't
said
No-
it. I was just like,
yeah,
oh my
it's
God! Yes.
it's in terms of like the musical influence, if you're looking back to second gen, it's very Can't Nobody meets I Am the Best. Like that I Am the Best for that poppy thing, but like I am the like Negate Chadaba to you know, that hardness to it where it's like unapologetically aggressive. And
Yeah.
it's just it carries the story through to the title card. And I was like, oh my God, I am sat. What would you say, like Alyssa, for you, what is the next scene where you're like, okay, I'm enjoying this movie. What was the next time where you just went, oh, oh,
Soda Pop. Because when I first watched it, I was just like, why does that look so familiar? I was like, I swear I know that area. I couldn't for the longest time couldn't figure out where it was. And then just scrolling whatever, someone goes, "Oh, this one's based off of Myeongdong and the
yeah, it
shopping
is.
district." I just went,
Yeah, it
"That's
is.
why I know it." And
Yeah, it
I
is.
can like still picture perfectly where exactly they would have done their
Oh
busking,
yeah.
where they would have done that. I'm just like,
So
"Oh my God."
I'm going to circle back a little bit earlier to where
Okay.
I kind of where so there's a scene before for like parts where I was like, "Oh my God, they're got it." And for me it's the doctor. Is it Daniel Day Kim was the voice
I
of the doctor? Like the
think
her
so.
every the second that that Zoe says, "I've heard about this guy," I'm thinking to myself going, "Oh no,
No.
I can
Oh
smell
no.
I can smell the store before they even show it."
Yeah.
Like that's the thing is I can smell this store and then they show it and it looks exactly like it should. And you walk in and everything about it was so perfect. For me, like the part where I paused it to see if I could zoom in was the photos of the artists with the doctor on the wall, because one of them I was like, I'm pretty sure one of these groups is supposed to be shiny. Like I'm like
I thought
zooming
one of
in.
them was CN Blue.
Yeah,
Not gonna lie, I thought one of them was CN Blue. I was just like, what?
you can tell who that is inspiring this wall of artists because every store, every small independent store, if you are remotely famous in any way, shape, or form, they will get a picture with you and you will sign it and it will be on their wall. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
love, especially restaurants. Oh my gosh, restaurants with
My
like the
dance studio
people,
was the same way.
yeah, like any store, restaurants, pharmacies, doctors, like the plastic surgeon ones was always the ones that made me laugh because like of course that's your best business card. It's like I made this
Right?
famous person's nose, and
Yeah.
but seeing the doctor and the waiting room looked like exactly like it should.
It
I
really
didn't
did.
I it smelled like I could see what it was going to smell like and I knew it. And then the way he spoke,
Yeah.
oh my God, it reminded me of like pretty much every vice principal at my schools that I taught at. Because I didn't really talk to like the doctors much because when I was talking to doctors, it was I wanted an English speaking doctor, so I
Hmm.
didn't have to listen to that quite as much. But my principals very much had the I see, and I don't see, but just that thing. I think the part for me, the intense stare too. Like we both like I think anyone who's lived in Korea for longer than like a month has met a guy who looks like that. Usually they're drunk when they look like that to get like their eyes that big and bloodshot, but we've all met a
Hmm.
guy who kind of looks
And they
like that.
usually, if you're a foreigner, they usually want to try and practice their English.
We all have met, you know, the doctor or the co-teacher or the business guy or the person who is taking classes at your hagwon. But the fact that he essentially prescribed grape juice with stickers on it, oh my gosh, so many like doctors in Korea just selling snake oil. And I think that's the best part with that is Zoe believes.
Yeah.
Mira and Rumi do not believe. They go to because it's like Zoe's trying to help, but they all know.
And like I did go to a Eastern medicine doctor. I think it was after you left.
Mm-hmm.
I was having issues with some of my autoimmune disorders, and I was just like, I don't want to get on medicine from a regular doctor, like regular Western medicine, because as soon as I leave, I have to try and get it here in the States, and I'm just like, I don't want to deal with it. So I went to an Eastern medicine doctor, and this stuff is nasty.
Yeah. But yeah, the doctor is like, that's the scene where I then was just like, oh my God, this is so, I just was like, I'm watching something I've never seen before. I think that's the point where you start to realize, like, this is special. Like, it went from this is a fun movie to this is special. And then, like, immediately after, we get the K-drama, like, moment. I mean, them breaking out Love Me Right by EXO, I about lost it. Because I was just like, we saw that promoted, and I was like, I love that song. What is the song? I know it's from a very famous drama. The one for the Jinwoo song.
It's by a group called Mellowmance.
Well, I know it's like, the thing is I think the funny thing is with that is Jinwoo's actor, was it An So Hyuk?
Ah Hyun-sup.
Ah Hyun-sup.
Yeah, Ah Hyun-sup.
That was that piece of music for a drama that he was in. And when they were casting Jinwoo, they were like, I just want like an An Hyun-sup. I want him to do it. And then they're like, well, why don't you ask him? And he did it. I heard an interview where they were saying, like, when they were picturing the script, that is what they imagined. And they're like, we just want that song, we want that moment. And then to get An Hyun-sup as the voice too, they're like, this is too funny. And I think my favorite thing,
this is perfect and nothing hurts.
And I think one of my favorite things post movie is the fact that Hyun-sup has leaned into that a bit more too. Like, there's been scenes in other dramas where, have you seen the clip where it's like a little girl and she's like shouting out to the sky for her crush, and she's shouting out to Jinwoo from K-pop Demon Hunter.
좋아하는 아이돌 있어?
라이언보이즈 진호 오빠.
좋아. 라이언보이즈 진호 오빠가 저 멀리 서 있다고 상상하고 거기로 소리를 쏜다고 생각해봐.
진호 오빠.
더 크게.
진호 오빠.
And I was just like, I love this guy. I don't watch K-dramas. I love the fact that every person in this movie loved this experience so much. And they're just living their best lives right now, being like, I love this character I played. I love seeing it grow and explode and expand. It's so good. And
yeah, I know Lee Byung-hyun, the voice of Guima, said that he's been in a lot of movies, but they're all, really violent. They're for adults. They're R-rated, so he can't watch it with his kids. And he said in an interview that the reason why he chose to do that is so he could watch it with his kids. And I'm just like,
yeah,
that's so cute.
By that point, I think we're both like, that was when I realized we were watching something that I've never seen before. And I was emotionally compromised, I think, by that point, because I was prepared for it to be a cute movie. I was prepared for it to be nice. I wasn't prepared to feel so seen. And I can't begin to imagine what it would be like. I mean, I can in a slight way. When you come from, when you are an immigrant, so my family is Welsh Canadian. So I'm the first Canadian in my family. My whole family's Welsh. And the thing with being Welsh is out of the 4 countries that make up the United Kingdom, nobody knows where Wales is. Nobody pays attention, but we are a very strong and proud culture. And so when you have people talking about Celtic things and they talk about Irish stuff and Scottish stuff, all the Welsh people are just like, but what about us? So you can, whenever you have this moment where you recognize yourself on screen, like, you know, for me as an English speaking white person, it's so minor compared to as a person with a visible minority, speak like another language, a completely different culture. So I have a sense of just how incredible that must have felt because I have had those small moments before. But can you imagine being like a Korean American? Like, I have friends who have Korean kids and they saw themselves, they saw their culture, and they saw the things that their moms and dads, you know, would tell them about. And they suddenly had a reason to do Korean language school and it not be a waste of a Saturday morning. Like, by this point, in this movie, I am getting emotional at the realization of just how seen an entire generation of Korean American and Korean Canadian kids would feel in that moment. And like, for us, just the fact, I know I was getting emotional just being like, this was 3.5 years of my life. And we've kind of mentioned before, like, when we both returned from living in Asia, it was really hard to realize that that work experience meant nothing. That lived experience meant nothing. Like, no employer cared. Your resume was actually a waste. All of that work was really for nothing over here. And it's been that way for 15 years. Like, I had to work really hard when I was in the second half of my time in Korea, realizing that after moving back from Japan and realizing that nobody cared about the fact that I could speak Japanese and I'd lived there, I spent a good part of my time in Korea taking what I loved and turning it into transferable skills that would be recognized back home. But even then, like, it really wasn't up until maybe 2 years ago, that people, if I said, oh, I lived in like Seoul, the response was beyond, oh, that's cool. Like, that was literally it. And
I still get that from like the adults.
oh, of course.
I've been lucky enough, unless they have kids, and the kids like K-pop Demon Hunters, and so of course they've seen the movie, and then I'm just kind of like, hey, I used to live in South Korea. That movie is pretty accurate. They're just like, oh, you lived in South Korea? And then I showed them some fun pictures.
Yeah. Like, I've had that moment. Actually, I had it really recently. So I was out at Pokemon Go Fest and I was chatting with some of the other young adults. So I think they were like 20 or so. So they're still kids to me. But we were just chatting about Pokemon stuff, and my time overseas came up because I'd mentioned, you know, being in Japan, or we were talking about the heat or something. And I said, oh no, this is nothing compared to like living in Seoul. And the conversation that came from that went on for about 20 minutes afterwards, because they wanted to know more. And that happens so rarely. And I do think a lot of it does have to do with the fact that, you know, partially for BTS, we have to thank them for just making Korea a bit more in the public zeitgeist. But even then, like, if you're a fan of BTS, you're still like a fangirl. But K-pop Demon Hunter introduced the entire Korean culture. So you got to see the food and the weird ass doctors and the ajumas with their perms and their visors and the fan bros and
the just like the little things that you wouldn't think of, like the bathhouse, like,
oh yeah, like And like,
And it was funny because it was a men's one too. That one was hilarious to me. Which are like, you don't need to speak any kind of language to understand that.
yeah, like, it's just, and that was like, it was so accessible. Like if you didn't know a thing about Korea, you still understood the core of the jokes. But the
Yes.
more you started to know about it, it was like when you're watching Hercules, when you're a kid watching Hercules, you get the jokes, like Disney's Hercules.
Yes.
But then when you watch as an
Yes.
adult and you're like,
You're just like,
oh, Meg is actually sassy, and there are a lot of jokes that the adults are going to love too. In our case, no, K-pop Demon Hunter is great for your standard fan, but if you know Korea, oh, it's like a little gift that just,
yes.
I don't even want to say, like, it's not an onion with layers. It's just like the deepest parfait ever. Like,
Everybody loves parfaits.
everyone loves parfait. But it just keeps going. It's just turtles all the way down in terms of like how deep does the magic go? It's just constant. Like, even when I watch it now, there's like a little line or a little clip where I'll be like, oh my God, that's so good. Alyssa, can you think of, as a person who lived in Korea and watched K-pop Demon Hunter, what is something that you caught in the movie that you think the average viewer may not have caught or appreciated?
Like, I know this is kind of the overarching theme of the movie, but the idea of radical self-acceptance, loving you for who you are, your flaws, your shame, because from what I know is that a lot of Asian cultures are shame-based, and that constantly comes up throughout it. So knowing that, and actually having had students who had like mental health issues that needed to be addressed and they weren't being addressed, it's like, it's still, I think about those kids and I wonder how they're doing today. Yeah, they were in first grade when I would remember teaching some of them, and I'm just like, it broke my heart that they weren't getting the help they deserved. So that theme overall was, and also just like Rumi learning not only to love herself, but then her loving her friends more fully, falling in love with Ginu, who made a huge mistake, and she essentially just like forgave him and still accepted him.
Yeah.
And her friends accepting her for being this thing that they're supposed to hate. And so that was a big one for me, was,
And I
yeah.
think you can encapsulate like that, the part that makes it so unique, like specifically for the Korean culture itself, is the character of Celine. I think the character of Celine is just so perfectly done, because there are times where I want to hate her because I understand that idea of like, why can't you love me, all of me? And Celine is not a bad person.
No.
Celine is a person who has been raised to believe one thing her whole life. She's been brought up in that shame and that, that Korean, the not so great side of Korean thing where it's, we don't talk about mental health. We just,
Yep.
and like that line, what is it? We don't show our faults and fears. Like that line, like, and
I almost went to Frozen.
yeah, no, conceal, don't feel.
Conceal, don't feel.
But it's like that line from Celine is so, it would have been so easy to make her a very hateable character. But Celine, I feel you can get the sense that she has been handed something that she did not know how to respond. She is also such a three-dimensional character, and encapsulates that feeling of, she is Rumi's everything. She is her only connection to her mother, and she has lived with this shame that has been put on out of a place of love. Like, that's the thing, is that
Mm-hmm.
she's not saying hide who you are because I hate that side of you. She's saying hide who you are because we are not able to accept it. And
Yeah.
that conflict then between, like, afterwards, when they're at the tree, like at the prayer tree, and she says, you know, just kill me then. Like, not in those exact words. And Celine, if she were a bad character, if she really was bad, she would do it. But
Right.
she says, I can't. I can't, like, and it's just,
And she's like, I love you too much, but yet she can't like fully touch Rumi, and so it's just like you see that internal struggle that Celine herself is having.
yeah. And it's just, it's so beautiful the way that they handle just that societal conflict between generations, because you do have a younger generation coming in being like, it is okay to not be okay. I mean, they have a drama that came out in Korea not long after we left called It's Okay to Not Be Okay.
Yes.
And I can see a lot of conversation like happened around that, because there's a lot of people who want to believe it is okay to not be okay. But they can't. Celine is just such a wonderful example of that turmoil between wanting to make things different but being afraid to change. And Rumi is just like, I'm just going to do it no matter what, because otherwise it's either that or I'm going to die. So
yeah.
Mine, not nearly as deep and emotional. The thing that I wish people knew more about, and once you know this, the movie just becomes a bazillion times more colorful, in my opinion, is the incredible use of Korean art, like traditional Korean art, in the movie. So the most common one is Sussy and Derpy. And people just like, oh, Derpy and Sussy, that's a blue tiger and a six-eyed raven, like, or magpie. And they're just like, oh, that's cute. The story of the tiger and the magpie is a common trope in Joseon Dynasty artwork. Sussy.
It's called Minhwa. I found out it's called Minhwa.
Yeah, Minhwa. And so the tiger always represents the elite class, the government, the royalty. And in this art, he is always portrayed as being a complete and total idiot. So he's got the derpy face of like completely out of it. Not like, that is the art styling. You are supposed to see that the tiger, the people in charge are idiots. The magpie is representative of the people, the common person. And in this art, the common person, they have common sense. They're being judgmental. They're just like, this is ridiculous. I can't stand this stupid tiger. I recognized the art I was like, I've seen this before. I've seen Derpy's face before. The best line, when you recognize that it is this is a character trope that is used for power. And then you hear the line, why does the bird wear the hat? And Jinu replies, I made the hat for the tiger, but the bird keeps taking it. It is the most beautiful summary of Korean culture and history in a nutshell. Because if you know anything about Korean history and just the Korean sense of resilience, they are a country that has been taken over and dominated by so many different people, like Chinese coming in and taking it over, Japan coming over and taking it over, dictatorships through the second half of the 20th century. And every time it was the common person standing up and saying, absolutely not. They are some of the most resilient people, some of the most stubborn people I've ever met. I love Koreans. They're so stubborn, infuriatingly stubborn at times. But as a culture, over hundreds of years, and it is summed up in that one line so perfectly with, I made the hat for the tiger, but the bird kept taking it. And it summarizes just this beautiful moment of Korean resilience in one line. And that was the part when I recognized that, I was like a third or fourth watch in where I was like, I know this story. I feel like I need to check it out. I was just like, this deserves every Oscar. This deserves every writing award. Like, I was blown away. It's the most incredible line. And also, before we go on, other pieces of iconic traditional Korean art. The other bits of art that I'm not as familiar with, but I recognize. If you go and watch the performance of Golden at the Idol Awards, the backdrop that they use during that performance is actually an incredibly famous tapestry. Many of the performances, HUNTR use very famous Korean like tapestries that are like well known. Of like landscapes and stuff. And so I really loved the fact that the use of Korean art and culture was so ingrained that it's even in the things where it's like, if you don't know to look for it, it's still there.
Right.
Like, just, using that backdrop and them using this thing that is very common in K-pop and letting it be another very significant art drop. I was just like, oh, it's just so well done. Every detail is thought about, and I love it so much. I guess to wrap up, so this one is all about like our initial reactions and stuff. So we watched this movie 3, 4, 5, 10, 20 times. I don't know how many times you watched it, but
track.
I lost track. To kind of lead into the next discussion that we're gonna have, what was it like, I guess, now that you've, like, when you saw this movie, and you realized just how iconic it was, what was it like first when you realized that this incredible piece of art had come out, and then when you start to realize just how much it's taking over the planet? Because I think, to me, watching it the first couple of weeks, like the first couple of times, was one thing. When I started to hear Golden on the radio, wow.
Yeah.
Like,
I didn't know it was on the radio, but my friend who I went to the theatrical release with, she said she'd hear it on there and she'd get really excited. Just like, what? It's actually on the radio? Like, I'd heard like BTS on the radio a few times, and I'd get excited about that. And so between hearing Golden and then now like BTS's new one, Swim, I'm just like, what is life? Like, I'm just like, I don't know if I can. And I think I even heard how it's done on the radio the other day. I don't often listen to the radio. Usually I plug in my own music.
Yeah.
So just to have it like happen to come on, and like when it's that moment of I switch over from my like music on my phone to the radio and it's immediately playing Golden, I'm just like.
But for me, when I realized that this was so much bigger than my interests just being catered to, was when I was in the grocery store, and they normally play like really, really weird music, and like, they'll mix in like old music or whatever, and I heard Golden and how it's done at the grocery store, and I was like, oh, this is part of like major culture. This is our culture now. Like, this is a huge part of our experience.
So for me, it was with my family, because for the longest time they didn't care about the fact that I lived in Japan, I lived in Korea, and it was especially them with their kids, because they are, when you think American, they are those people. And so for them to like enjoy something that I've enjoyed for years, that I've been praising from the rooftops to the annoyance of my family as much as I can, and then to see them finally be like, yeah, this is cool. That's when I was just like, okay, this is
big.
Like, this is big. It's special.
Yeah.
Like that was, I think, where my moment was just like, oh my god.
I don't know if we would be making this podcast if we didn't both have this feeling of maybe our stories are interesting now, because we have, like, we've both spent the past 15 years not talking about our experience in Korea except for to each other. And I will say, in the past year, I have started talking to my friends from Korea a lot more. Like, me and Alyssa, we chatted a bit over the years, but in the past year, as it became more, I don't want to say acceptable, but more normalized to talk about Korea and not get like an eye roll, we then started being like, we'd have our own memories that were coming back, and we'd then start talking about, like, oh my God, do you remember when this happened? Because I'll be honest, there was a few times like we had conversations where I was like, did that actually happen? Or was that a crazy fever dream? And then you'd be like, no, that happened. And we'd have to go back and find like footage to be like, no, that actually happened. Like, here's the picture. You're not insane. And as those conversations kept going, that was when we're like, you know, people are interested in hearing about us now, like hearing about Korea now. Maybe people will listen to this. And that is, so that interest, that fact that we feel like we can get in touch with a part of our, like our 20s essentially, is, you know, because of K-pop Demon Hunter. And it's like, and it's like, we're not even Korean. Like I said, I can't even begin to imagine what it's like to be a Korean American kid. It's crazy how much an animated movie on Netflix can, and, you know, a boy band can really help people. But we're going to wrap this up here, because
we will keep going.
But this is not the end of this conversation, because next week, I think what we're going to dig in a bit more on that impact of what it's been like since watching that movie. Especially since one of the idols that we knew best, his entire, seeing Kevin's career change from ex-K-pop idol who was making a career back home to Mystery Saja, it's like, that in itself is insane to like look on. And especially as someone who has been a Kevin fan for so long, it's been really, really neat to watch the past year. We might talk about the upcoming sequel. So we know that there is a sequel, and I think maybe what we'll do, if it's not in the next episode, it's going to be in one after. What do we want to see in the next movie? I have a wish list.
I don't know that I've thought about it. I've seen a couple of things on like YouTube of being like, oh, well, there's probably going to be this and this and this. And I'm just like, well, I don't know how much I believe you.
So maybe we'll talk about my ideas then, because I've thought about this one a lot. Okay. And if it's not in the next episode, it will be in an episode after. We'll see how good the next one goes. But if you have enjoyed listening to us talk about K-pop Demon Hunter, or you love K-pop in general, or want to know more about Second Generation, or you just want to hear weird gossip about things that happened 15 years ago, make sure you hit the subscribe button if you are on YouTube. Give us or any of the platforms. Hit like, give us a 5-star review. Follow us on all of the socials. We will have...
And tell us your favorite song from K-pop Demon Hunters.
Or like if you're on YouTube, or if you're on one of the platforms that does have the comments, not all of them do, let us know either what was your favorite song, or what was the moment where when you're watching it, you were like, oh, this is special. So if you were someone who knows K-pop, or you were into, like, you're a Korean American or whatever, what was the point where we went, oh, this is so much more than just a movie? Or if you weren't, what was the part where you're like, oh, I'm hooked? Let us know how this movie affected you. It feels weird saying that, being like, if you're a victim of this movie, you may be entitled for compensation. But if you're a victim of how good this movie is, you need to subscribe now to this podcast so that you can then...
What did she say?
follow along and also suffer with us in how much we love this movie. But until next week, when we're going to talk more about this, we will see all of you next time. 안녕.
Bye. 안녕. Saga.